Hi guys, how are you? So good to be with you today. Today I'm going to talk to you about something that is near and dear to my heart, decision making. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I really struggle with decision making. Sometimes simple decisions or just reoccurring situations nag at me, even though in my head I think, why don't I know what to do, or why can't I move forward in peace about this? So today I want to share briefly my favorite little process or life hack, if you will, to kind of sort through decisions when I feel a little concerned. So I made a really fancy visual aid. Here it is. What I'm going to talk about today involves 3 pieces. It involves looking at 3 pieces of the puzzle, thinking about them, and then moving forward. Those 3 pieces are the objective, the relationships involved, and the issues of self-respect. For all those visual learners. I'm a visual learner. Okay, by objective, I mean simply the task at hand, what you're trying to accomplish. By relationships, I mean any other people involved. Now, of course, we're going to talk through this, but in each of these categories at any given time, it might be really a big part of the decision, or it might not be. That's what we're looking at. So that's why it's important to keep in mind with relationships, it's just any other people involved. They might not be significant relationships, but just who else is involved. And by self-respect, I mean questions of integrity, your character, your values. Are there any ethical questions that come up in the decision-making process? Okay, let me illustrate this with an example. The first step in this process is simply to identify these 3 pieces to the puzzle. What is the objective? What are the relationships involved? Are there issues of self-respect, and how? So I'm going to share an example that happened to me at work a couple years ago. My boss gave me a new project to work on, and it was something that I hadn't done before, and it was fairly significant. So I start working on it. I'm making progress. It's been a couple weeks, and I just feel really unsettled in me. And I can't figure out why. I can't pinpoint what's going on. Because again, like I said, I was making progress. I was doing what I needed to do, etc. But something was nagging at me. And in times like this, even though it's not like a dilemma, it was enough that was, unsettled in me that I wanted to say, what's going on here and what can I do to resolve it? So I used this process because again, I didn't just know, it didn't just hit me. If, your answer hits you, then of course, just make your decision and move on. This little tool is for when you're like, I can't quite figure out what's going on, but I know something is going on and I want to move forward in peace. So what I did was use these 3 pieces of the puzzle. Step 1 of my step is simply to identify them, to fill in the blanks. The objective for me was just to complete that project at work. I wanted to do it as my boss wanted it done, I wanted to do it well, and I wanted it to be done. Now, when I got to the part about relationships, I was kind of stuck because I realized a lot of what was going on was that I was unsure how my boss was feeling about my progress. The truth is, I didn't really know his expectations. I didn't know his timeline. I didn't know if he preferred me to ask him more questions or less questions along the way. And so I was feeling like I needed more clarity in that area to be able to move forward. So even though this was just a project at work, the relationship aspect was a big piece of what was unsettled within me. And then as I thought through the issues of integrity or self-respect, I realized there weren't really questions of ethics involved. I was working to the best of my ability. I was working as hard and efficiently as I could, etc. That's step 1. It should really take you 30 seconds to a minute. So think of a situation in your life right now that's kind of nagging at you. Maybe a decision or a reoccurring problem that you're thinking, what is going on here? And then just take a second, you can do it when the video is done, and answer those 3 pieces. What is your objective? What are the relationships involved? Are there issues of self-respect at play? That's number 1. Number 2 is simply prioritizing them in order of importance for this specific scenario. So keep your focus just on this very thing right here. And then that's important in all decision making. Keep your focus right here and then just sort them in order of importance. So I think I already revealed to you, usually in the first step, the order of importance will kind of hit you. As I thought through my objective, the relationships involved, and the issues of self-respect, I realized that even though on the surface it would seem completing the project would be number 1, the issue of the relationship dynamic with my boss and not knowing his expectations was actually number one. So it was pretty simple for me to rank them for my situation. Number one was the relationship, number two was the objective, and then number three was the issues of self-respect. That's step two. That should take you 15 seconds. Step three is just looking at the ranked order that you just did of priorities and saying, super simple, get ready. What's my next best step? I know, it sounds ridiculous, but it really works. Once you take a second, fill in those blanks, order them, rank them in order of importance, and then ask yourself, looking at them, what's my next best step? It should almost fall towards you. Now, it might not be easy or something that is comfortable and that you want to do, but it should be pretty clear. For me, once I realized I was unsettled because I didn't know where my boss was at with this, I realized I just needed to talk to him. So we did. We sat down. I explained I didn't know his timeline. I wasn't sure if he preferred me to learn by trial and error or to ask him more questions along the way. I wasn't sure if I needed to be working with other colleagues during the process, etc. We cleared all those details up. I moved forward, completed the project, and it was that simple. Now, life is not always that simple, but this tool on how to navigate decisions can be really helpful. Another quick example would be if you're in an argument with your spouse. Thinking through these three pieces can sometimes show you what's going on below the surface. So maybe the objective is to reach a compromise or to have your opinion heard. Maybe the relationship is really important because it's your spouse. But maybe once you get to the issue of self-respect, you realize, oh, I feel like this, what we're arguing about is really something that I feel a lot of value in and my husband doesn't. So it actually feels like it's a question of character or integrity that you support, this point of view. So possibly, even though it's your spouse, and obviously that's a really significant relationship, the issue of self-respect is most important. Once you identify that and realize, okay, that's what's going on here, you can ask yourself, what's my next best step? Maybe you need to express that to them. Maybe you need to take a look at why that issue is so important to you. Food for thought. I could go on and on with lots of examples, but I want you to give it a try. Take a couple minutes. Think about a situation that you're not sure how to move forward. Identify these three areas: objective, relationships, self-respect. Then rank them in order of priority. What's number 1, 2, and 3 for this? And then ask yourself, what do I do now? How do I move forward? And then give it a try and see how it goes. Okay, this is longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm gonna wrap this up, but I really appreciate your time. Let me know if this was helpful. Ask any questions, leave comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. That would be awesome, and I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.